I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to share with you one of my most delicious and easiest recipes that I think it's so easy, it's almost like not even worth showing you, but I wanted to share it with you because there's just one ingredient in this recipe that kind of just takes a boring standard roasted chicken to something really special with literally no effort, which I love. So I'm making my truffle salt roasted whole chicken, and it is just, it's so fantastic. It's such a delicious, homey recipe, but by using a little bit of truffle salt, just elevates it to a whole new level, which just means it's like perfect for company. The ingredients you'll need for this is going to be a nice whole chicken, and this has been cleaned. Everything's been removed from the inside. You should be able to purchase it like that already. I've got some unsalted butter melted. I've got my version of chicken stock is some truffle salt and a touch of white wine. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is get your oven preheated to 425. Now, this is going to be so standard and simple, but by using the truffle salt, it's just incredible, and it makes its own pan sauce. It's all in one go. It's divine. Serve this alongside some simple rice or maybe some egg noodles or something and a side salad, and you have a great no-fuss dinner, or you can make some roast potatoes. What I have here is a large roasting pan. Now, my chicken's a bit on the small side, and if I had a smaller roasting pan with a rack over top, I would use that, but I don't have one. I didn't ask for one for Christmas. I don't know why, but hint, get the hint, Joseph Vitale, I need a smaller roasting pan. Okay, now, the oven's preheated to 425. What I'm going to do, before I go ahead and do anything else, I'm going to just take my chicken close to me, and the thing you need to make sure is that it's washed and you have the whole surface of the chicken patted really well, like patted dry really, really well. Otherwise, it's not going to get that beautiful golden crust because it's almost going to steam. And all I'm doing is taking a piece of kitchen twine and just tying the legs together. I'm not trusting this in any fancy pattern. I just want to tie the legs together so that it roasts evenly, but apparently I can't even do that. There you go. And then I'm going to put this on the rack of my roasting tray. I mean, how pathetic does that look? Because that roasting tray is so big. But it's okay. It's a roasting tray. That's what you need. And I just take the wings, and just like I do with my regular turkey, oops, keeps falling back, I go ahead and tuck the tips under the chicken, like so. Now that you have that done, you're going to go ahead and wash your hands, because at this point, you're pretty much done touching the chicken, and you can go ahead and touch everything else. So, sanitation first. I'm just going to take some butter that I've melted, and I'm going to brush this all over the top. Now, what you can do is, instead of melting the butter, you can go ahead and just use some softened butter and just, rub it all over the top, smear it all over your chicken. But I find that this is just easy, and it's no mess, no fuss, none of that. So, and if I'm not making like a compound butter with herbs and spices and things like that, I find that just melting it works beautifully. So, I'm going to generously, this is just a few tablespoons of butter. It's actually only about 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm just going to make sure that the entire surface and side of my chicken is well buttered, because that is going to help with that crust be absolutely gorgeous and brown, and also those buttery juices fall into the pan gravy. It is phenomenal. Now for the special part, truffle salt. I bought mine in a small Italian shop in Philly. I'm sure you can buy this anywhere. This is just some black truffle salt. It's coarse salt, which I love coarse salt. So what I'm going to do, it smells out of this world. I mean, it really does. All I'm going to do is sprinkle this. You can see the black pieces of truffle all over the surface and sides of your chicken. And I mean, this is really strong. You do not need a lot of this, because otherwise it will be completely overpowering. And it is just amazing. Now, I love my herb roasted whole chicken. I think it's delicious, and I make it very, very often. But when time is of the essence, and you've got people coming around, and you want to make a roast chicken with absolutely no fuss, truffle salt or truffle oil or truffle butter is a great ingredient to have on hand, because you can spice things up so quickly and make it really special. So now that you have that done, in the bottom of your roasting pan, I'm actually going to go with my wine first. In the bottom of my roasting pan, because you can see my chicken's not touching the bottom of the pan, I'm going to put down some white wine, about a cup or so. Remember that this is just a really large baking pan, and this is going to evaporate a lot more than if you were using a smaller one. It's gonna be in the oven for quite a while as well. And some chicken stock. I've got my chicken base and water, and when it cooks together, it melts together, it is gonna be perfect. So I'm not even gonna worry about it having melted perfectly. Just gonna pour that right in there. Now, I don't need to do anything else to this except put it in my oven at 425 for, I would say, for about 5-pound chicken. It'll need to be in there for about an hour and a half. You'll need to keep your eye on it. I use a thermometer and go ahead and I pierce it in the thickest part of the chicken, which is right by the thigh area. Just don't pierce a bone, don't touch a bone. And once that reaches 165, I'm gonna take it out and let it rest. 170 is good. You should really take it out at 170. I take mine out between 165 and 170 because it does carry on cooking a little bit as I tent it and let it rest for a while, and I don't want this to be dry. So, gonna pop it in. Once it's done, I will show you what it looks like. My chicken roasted to absolute perfection. It actually took exactly an hour and a half for this to reach 168 degrees. And I've let it cool and kind of rest for about 10 minutes. And I took all the pan juices, which you can see, they've gotten lovely dark and delicious and just out of this world. The smell is incredible. I just put it through my fat separator. That way I can discard the fat and keep the juices. Now, I was almost going to serve it to dinner. That's how excited I was. I put it right on my platter and then realized I had to show you the finished product, but this smells insanely good, and I have let this rest for about 10 minutes so that this should be perfect, and it's super juicy. So I'm just going to carve this just like I carved my whole turkey. It's just really, really hot, so be very patient. I like to take, sorry, it's like also slippery. I like to take the legs and thigh. Look at that. So beautiful. So, so beautiful. So do that on the other side. For the breast, I just like to go right down the center, and you can kind of feel the bone where it is. And you can tell, I can tell it's right here. So what I do is I like to take my breast out all in one piece and then cut nice thick slices of it instead of doing a lot of thin little slices. Once you have it all carved, I'm just going to, the very first like teaspoon or so always ends up being a little bit of fat in there, but look at those pan juices. Look at that. It made like its own pan sauce. It is just, I always like to drizzle a little bit before I bring it to the table, and then everyone else can help themselves. Obviously, I'm going to put the juices in a different container and get rid of the fat, but for the sake of this video, I wanted to kind of get it over and done with because I want to dig in. It's going to give this a little bit of a taste. I want a right piece right there. Oh, the skin got away from me. I'm going to take a piece of skin. It's so simple, so delicious, so earthy, perfectly cooked. And just a hint of the truffle salt in the background just really rounds up this beautifully. You can use leftovers in 1,000,001 ways. I hope that you make this recipe. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the recipe, and I hope, as always, you enjoy spending time with me. I'm going to get to eating dinner with my family. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.